Hello Stitchers, let's get painting. I'm Lindsay Crane and these are my retro craft dreams. Today I have something that has been requested a few times and I've really been wanting to get to for a while. Today we are going to be painting needlepoint canvas. I've got a couple canvases that I could stand to paint, so we're going to learn that today. I have never done this before, but I think we can learn together. It should be pretty straightforward. I have a couple books that I can reference. Now, one of these projects is for a stitch along, and I am going to paint that today as well, but I will probably upload that as a video specific to the stitch along so that you could also paint along if you want to. But since that isn't quite ready yet, today I will be painting this. This is a drawing from a student back in my preschool teaching days, and the moment she gave it to me, I thought it had some pretty great 80s vibes. So I have been wanting to stitch this up for 4 years, maybe 5 years at this point, and it is about time. For this, we're going to need a few things. First of all, our line art, or the piece that you would like to stitch. We will need some canvas. We're also going to be needing a waterproof marking utensil, because whatever you use on this canvas, you want to make 100% sure that it's not going to come off on your threads and yarns when you wash, block, or even just as you stitch. We're going to be painting this with ordinary acrylic paint. You want to make sure that it is waterproof. So do not use your child's tempera paints or anything like that. We need a permanent acrylic paint and of course paintbrush. We'll also be needing a little bit of water, and if you can swing it, one of my books does recommend a polymer medium. Now I'm not 100% sure what she's referencing in this book from the 70s, but I suspect it is something very similar to this. This is a fabric medium from Liquitex that I picked up several years ago, designed specifically for mixing with acrylic paints to help it be a little bit more pliable and adhere to the fabric a little bit better. Now, since this is not just some line art that I traced from some other source or my own drawing that I could replicate, it is something that I would like to keep in its current condition. So I do have a little trick up my sleeve, a plastic sleeve. This is just a dry erase clear plastic pocket you can find at the dollar store. I've found it at dollar bins in Target, usually in with all the teacher stuff. And I love using them to put my cross stitch patterns in that I can mark on. I put knitting patterns in them that I can mark on. And now I can put this in it. I will be taping my canvas directly to it and we'll get started that way. So there are a few methods that we can use to do this. I will just be tracing probably straight off of my ordinary surface, doing my best to see the lines through the canvas. However, you can also use a light box. And if you don't have a light box, there are a couple things that you can do. You could, if you have a glass table, use your glass table and put a lamp underneath. Alternatively, you can tape your artwork and your canvas up onto a window on a nice sunny day. I have also traced directly off my computer screen when I was able to get it the exact size that I want. I've done that for embroidery. It is possible you could do it for a canvas as well, but you will want to make sure your computer screen is well protected. Okay, let's get started. I was concerned about how visible my outlines were going to be, so I went over them with a dry erase marker. I need a little bit of interpretation here. There's my line art. I'm going to line this up as well as I can. When you place your canvas on your design, you're going to want to make sure that you are centered. I also took care that some of my important corners were under an intersection of canvas threads so they could be precisely stitched. When you trace your drawing, what you want to make sure of is that you are deciding what color goes on the intersections of your threads. If your line goes through an intersection, you will need to make a judgment about which color that stitch should be. This is the same thing you would need to do with a printed canvas, but here you can determine it ahead of time. This is the medium I am using. It is a fabric medium from Liquitex. The directions call for a mixing ratio of 1:1, so I am just mixing equal parts medium and acrylic. These are a couple of my favorite brushes. The bristles are a little on the stiffer side and they are super short, which just gives me really good control, which is going to help me be precise in painting each intersection. I'm really just lightly touching each intersection with the color that I want its stitch to be. One thing I forgot to grab before sitting down to paint was a toothpick. This comes in handy if you do accidentally cover a hole. You will want to poke the paint back out before it dries and open up any holes that might shred your threads. Once that paint dries, it's not going to be as forgiving.
And then here we're going to let the pink go out a little further than it does in the drawing because I like that point. I'm really just touching each intersection with the color that I want its stitch to be. And seeing it colored in this way gives me a chance to decide what it should be before getting my thread all up in there.
If you make a mistake, allow the paint to fully dry before painting over it. If your paints are not opaque enough, it might help to use a bit of white first, letting it dry before adding the new color on top. Similarly, if you are concerned about your colors running together, let the first color dry before painting any adjacent colors. Acrylics do usually dry fast, depending on how much water you've used.
Just using a really delicate touch. It doesn't take a lot. I think I'm gonna go green there so that I have that nice fun point.
As for water, I'm only using the amount of water left on my brush from a dip and a wipe. If I was not using the medium, I would use half or less water than the amount of paint. Only enough for a smooth consistency, but not so much to make it runny. Too much water will dilute the color and could affect how well it adheres to your canvas. But if you don't use any water, your paint may be too thick. It could clog up the holes, and if it has bumps or clumps in it, it will dry that way and could even have sharp edges that can wear down your threads. So it is important that your paint be smooth.
Now this one's a little dark, so I'm going to mix it with a little yellow to brighten it up just a little.
Though I tried to lighten a couple of them, I didn't realize how dark some of my colors were. It is up to you how thorough you want to be in covering all of the white. If, like me, you intend your piece to be full coverage, filling in the intersections may feel sufficient, and if a little bit of white shows through on the cross threads, it might not matter to you. If, however, you intend for some of your canvas to show through your stitches, you'll probably want to make sure those are covered. I didn't think to test my colors ahead of time, so I didn't realize how similar some of them appear. If your design also has colors that are close to each other, you may want to use paint shades that are more distinct rather than more accurate to your design in order to help you see them better while stitching. Unless, of course, you intend for some of your canvas to show through. Moment of truth, let's see how it looks.
There we go. Now we can see it. I think that's gonna be fun.
there we have a fully painted little tiny canvas. Now again, this was my first time doing it, and working off of a child's drawing does mean it's not the tidiest looking thing, but I think you get the concept. It's really pretty simple. It's just about using waterproof materials, and there is going to be some interpretation on where you want to place each stitch. So it will take some practice to get your judgment going, I think. One thing that I did learn is to pay attention to the contrast in the shades of your colors. Hopefully I will be able to stitch this up really quick and insert the final product so you can see what it looks like all stitched up. That's it for today. I hope you had some fun and maybe learned something. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye. Oh, one more pro tip. Here's my plastic page. All I need for this is a little bit of rubbing alcohol, which I like to keep in here so I can just press a little thing and wipe it off.